Tonight's rally in Houston, Texas brought out tens of thousands to see President Trump speak in support of Senator Ted Cruz. With the border crisis intensifying ahead of the midterms, we thought it important to send our own Raymond Arroyo to speak with some of the folks in the crowd tonight. Here's some of what he found.
What's the most important issue to you as you go to vote?
Probably the border.
Why?
Because our country's being infiltrated.
Keeping the House and the Senate so he can move ahead with his agenda.
I would say the economy. I mean, at the end of the day, everybody needs a job. And so I think that's who has the better economic policies in place to help people move on up in the economic ladder.
As an immigrant, I came here, I stood in line, waited for my turn, and finally got here. And that was a privilege.
It makes a mockery out of what my parents had to do in Panama.
My parents and my husband are from Mexico, and when they came over here, they did everything legally. We went through all the steps, paid everything we had to pay, and we just don't think it's fair for all these people just to come in and automatically think that they're able to get citizenship or the things that we are supposed to have here as citizens.
What do you think of this caravan we see? What should the president and the Congress do?
Send the Marines, send the military to the border to secure our border. You don't know how many people are good. I'm sure a lot of those people are good people, but we can't risk the bad people coming in with the good.
Mexico should have stopped them. You know,
They didn't.
they didn't. They should have. They should have stopped them, but they didn't. So now we got to stop them.
Build the wall. Make our country great again. I mean, we have to be careful. There are so many people coming, and I really feel for those families. But they have to come in the right way.
Would you leave your doors unlocked and just let anybody walk into your home? No, I don't think so.
And Raymond Arroyo, Fox News contributor, best-selling author of the New York Times Will Wilder series, joins us now to tell us what else he discovered. Raymond, God, there were a lot of people at that rally. Now, where were some of them from? Were they all Texans or?
No, Laura, everything's bigger in Texas, including rallies. There were people from New York. I met people from the Upper East Side of Manhattan, people from Maryland, Florida. They really came from all over the United States. But think of that, to get on a plane, to come in for the day, just to hear the president. It tells us something about the excitement out there and the energy. And let me tell you, when the president started talking about these border issues, the chants of build the wall went up, and they were deafening. It was amazing to be in that room, I have to tell you.
Now, Raymond, I noticed that you happened to speak to a lot of Hispanic Americans today, and some from Central America, some from Mexico. What were you most surprised about what they said was the most important issue to them?
Laura, I was blown away. To a person, they mentioned immigration and the crisis at the border. And most of them had personalized this. You heard some of it at the top in those shots, where they said, wait, I came in legally. I waited. We got sponsors. We had to get people to sponsor us. We needed jobs and a place to live. We went through hearings. We can't just have people crashing the border. For them, it's extremely personal. And to hear this sort of breaks against the narrative, totally cuts against the narrative we're hearing in the media, that Latinos want open borders or relaxation in those border policies. Quite the opposite I found here. And again, these Latinos were from all over the Southwest and the South. They weren't just Texans. But that was the big takeaway for me.
You know,
that
Raymond,
and a call for unity, Laura. They want unity. They want the country to come back together. That was fascinating.
Well, you know, Dan Patrick, Lieutenant Governor, I know he was recognized tonight, as was pretty much every Republican congressman and the senators, of course, Cruz.
And Louis Gohmert.
And Louis Gohmert, yeah, I love that. But Dan Patrick has said consistently that not only is he tough, and Greg Abbott, the governor, on immigration and the border, but they get a disproportionate percentage of Hispanic voters because they are growing the economy, the low taxes in Texas, tough on crime. And he said, Laura, this issue works. We can expand the base of the Republican Party. I think Dan Patrick is 100% right, and Trump has demonstrated that. The question is, Raymond, who's beyond Trump? Who's after Trump?
Yeah, well, that is the big question. And when you see a turnout like this in a midterm election, think of this. This isn't a president at the zenith of his powers or a president, on the stump just out of the gate. This is a guy people have been looking at and listening to for 2 years.
Oh, the media have been trashing
he had tonight. Laura, there were tens of thousands of people outside who couldn't get in. Some of them went home. Some of them stood out there and watched on the jumbotrons, and you had almost 20,000 people in the hall. It was quite an event, and the reaction, it was almost like being at the Republican National Convention where we were. It was at that clamorous level, and you heard the president riding the tide of the
All right, Raymond
excitement.
Arroyo, fantastic job for us down in Texas. See you back in Washington.